Okay, good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's okay. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone is surviving, because let's face it, last couple of days have not been according to the script. We have climbed and climbed and climbed, and we just thought that the stairs wouldn't end. But unfortunately, it was just a sheer drop, and we've had sort of back-to-back days. Obviously, yesterday was far bloodier than today, particularly in the altcoin market. 20% drops generally across the board. We had some pretty deep drops, double figures today, but we are making some signs of a recovery. For the astute-eyed of you, some of you will notice I actually changed the title of this only a couple of minutes ago, because it was "What a fantastic Q4 for Bitcoin!" exclamation mark. Now it's just "What fantastic Q4 for Bitcoin," because it does feel like with 2 days of pulling back, the sentiment seems to have massively changed. So we're going to just, as usual, dive into it all, have a look at where Bitcoin currently stands, what's happened, any news that might have triggered that. We're going to delve into, obviously, price action, not just with Bitcoin, but across the board. And I've got a couple of questions, which I will also endeavor to answer. But if you've got any questions yourself during the call, feel free to drop them in the chat and I will get through it. But other than that, let's just dive straight in. If I can find the right button. Okay, so yeah, not looking so good. These are all the 3-day charts here. Actually, they know that. Not sure why this one's only the 1 day, so let's just change that to the 3-day. So yeah, Bitcoin on the top at the moment. I mean, as bad as it's felt for the last couple of days, it's not exactly the worst candle you've ever seen. We're probably talking about a 5% drop overall, from about 100k to 95,000. We're going to look at some levels that it may have bounced off right now. But we're kind of only where we were, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So it's not exactly the worst place to be. And as I said, we've had an incredible rise since the election results. And it only seems right that we actually would have some sort of correction. And what I do find quite amusing, actually, is this is the 3-day. Let me just quickly blow it up, throw it onto the daily. Is we actually had a worse correction a couple of days ago when we first, not when we first, but when we went up to 104,000. We then dropped down to 91, but because we recovered it that day, very little was said of it, and it was just, let's just continue in the direction that we're going. But maybe they were writing on the walls, and as I say, we'll have a look at some of that. I'm not going to spend too much time delving through these. We're going to pick up all of these altcoins later on, but big drop on the likes of NIR, big drop on total market cap. Sorry, this is total 3, apologies, but even the total market cap's gone. And BitTensor itself, unfortunately, has actually seen probably one of the worst drops. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, maybe 5 days ago, we were at 740. We've actually hit 540 today, maybe even down as low as 530. We're currently at 560. This one has been a severe drop. But generally what I always say is the quicker the move down, generally the quicker the recovery. And we're going to have a look at some things like vector candles later on. You're going to see there's plenty of those on many charts left in their wake. And what do we always say about vector candles? 9 times out of 10, they get recovered. So maybe we just have to wait a little bit longer, but I wouldn't panic too much. I haven't done any sidestepping or anything like that. I'm just riding this one out, trying to see where it is. A lot of discussion yesterday and today about what potentially has caused the crash. And one of the things that's been talked about is Google and the creation, the commencement, or I don't know how to word this, the announcement, I think, of their new quantum microchip called Willow. And a lot of people were kind of worried that, we're talking about quantum computers there. That was the only real threat that Satoshi and a lot of other people see towards sort of, hacking the Bitcoin network. And so people were trying to put 2 and 2 together, but it was more like putting apples and oranges together and coming up with fish, because firstly, Willow isn't in circulation at the moment. I think they've sort of, made the first step towards this path. But secondly, and I'm no, computer guy, but a lot of people have sort of rebutted this now by just actually saying that although it's fantastic and it's a septillion, I think it can do, it can do in 5 minutes what every supercomputer in the world would take, is it 10 septillion years to do? So, it sounds like an awful lot of computational power, but actually what a lot of the coders or computer folk are now suggesting is that all sounds good, but in terms of sort of like the actual processing it would require, you'd still need factors way above that to get through the Bitcoin network. However, it was a good news story to launch on Monday to perhaps start to cause some of that FUD. I'm going to give my views on where price action is and what happened a little bit later on, but this was certainly one we were chatting about in Discord. But actually, for every bad news story, there's always a good news story. We are in a bull run after all. And I think we're slowly starting to be drip feed some very important news that, maybe gets slept on for a little bit. But the awakening of China, and by that I mean there's already rumors that they're going to legalize mining again. And then we've got the likes of CZ saying that actually it's kind of inevitable that at some stage China will look to create a Bitcoin reserve. And that's not the only, and I'm not saying superpower, but large country, shall we say, that's been talking about this over the last 7 days. We've got Russia, Deputy PM of Russia or Deputy Minister, I don't know how their government system works. They're saying that they're going to work on a Bitcoin reserve strategy. We've got President Trump saying that he is going to work on a Bitcoin strategy. We've got the Bitcoin Act that they're hoping to roll out, within, I suppose, the first 100 days of his presidency. We've even got his son, Eric, currently at the Bitcoin conference over in Abu Dhabi, talking about how Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million. The United States are fully invested with this, and his dad is going to take the Bitcoin reserve strategy forward. So we're kind of almost creating an arms race, if you will, or at least a Bitcoin race against countries with incredible resources behind them that are just going to try and, if all three of those come in, every other country under the sun's going to do it. We talked about this extensively at the Cuddle, but yeah, the amount of buying pressure that's going to help to create in the long term, or maybe even the medium term, is certainly going to lift up these things. So for every pullback that we've experienced today, there's new stories like this which are kind of suggesting actually the future's still very rosy. I'm not saying it's rosy for all cryptocurrencies, but for the likes of Bitcoin, we're certainly looking that way. And it's not just countries. Amazon investors are urging Amazon to start to think about converting some of their assets into Bitcoin. We actually had Microsoft meet today with their board members. They were presented a presentation done by Michael Saylor. I don't think he physically presented it, but they used his presentation about how Bitcoin could be utilized, or part of their profits could be utilized to invest in Bitcoin for the strategic return that would bring. Now, we are seeing breaking news at the moment that actually the board has rejected that proposal. So it doesn't look like Microsoft are going to go down the Bitcoin reserve. But the fact that they're even talking about it, that other companies are going to be as well. And I swear, once America gets on board and we start to see other nations, the likes of Microsoft may even come back and change their mind. But it might be a little bit too late for them if other companies have actually geared up and started to do that with the likes of Amazon. Now, Amazon haven't committed to it. It's just their shareholders, their investors are saying that they would like them to consider it. So we need to see where that goes. So don't think that that is a done deal by any means. But it has been a wild day. And I touched on something last week. I suppose homework, really. Certainly homework for me, hopefully potentially homework for yourselves about waking up every day now for the next 6-9 months, whatever it is, and just saying to yourself, is the bull market over? And then just finding reasons as to potentially why it's not. And I've actually kind of been doing that. I wouldn't say I'm fully waking up every morning absolutely convinced that the bull market's over or anything like that, but just playing that devil's advocate myself to try and see where it is. And it is interesting to see that yesterday's crash saw the most amount of liquidation since the peak of the bull market in 2021. I heard it was 800 million that was wiped out, but they're saying that it resets at 1.6 billion. Maybe that's because it's across all other cryptos as well. But why do I mention that? Because this is almost a euphoric amount of gambling, I suppose, by people thinking that Bitcoin's only going to go in one direction. And they're the kind of things, sort of like, fog in boiling water or in tepid water, heating up something. They're the kind of things that we just need to be aware of. And it is interesting that obviously so many people have gone so long that even a slight move down to 94, 95,000 was able to wipe out so much. And we're not talking about people that are 3, 4x in there. We're talking about large 25, 50x leverage type positions. And that's the kind of, fever pitch kind of, attitude that we should at least consider whether or not we're going to have a reset. Someone's asking a question a little bit later on about funding rates and about OI, open interest and all that. And actually looking back over the last couple of days, for any of you that are trading, you might see that your fees are going up crazily. It's because the funding rates are significantly higher. Now, without trying to answer that question too much, the funding rate's effectively, a fee that you pay to whoever picks up the other side of your trade. And the less enticing it is to take the other side of that trade, because, in this instance, everyone's assuming that we're going long. There's not much interest in people taking shorts. The funding fee increases in value, and that's what you have to pay. As it gets higher and higher and higher, that kind of suggests that maybe we're in the wrong direction, something that market makers may look to do some corrections. So they're the kind of things that I am waking up. I am starting to have some concerns. Of course, Michael Saylor then comes along today and announces that he's gone and done it again, yesterday it was, and bought the top again. And there's two things to look at this one, because he ain't worried. Now, he ain't playing with his own money, so he doesn't necessarily have to be worried. I get that. But he's just continuing, doesn't matter if it's 100K, 94K, whatever, he's going to continue to buy. But the other side of this is a story that we covered, regularly throughout 2022. And it's all about this. What's the MicroStrategy liquidation point? And some people are batting around some crazy figures again. So let's just put that one to bed, shall we? Because as you can see in this post here, they bought another 21,000 Bitcoin. Fine. And it says, so far they've purchased 423,650 BTC, have been acquired for 25.6 billion at an average price of 60,000 per Bitcoin. So now everybody's saying, what happens if the price gets below 60,000 and MicroStrategy going to get liquidated? No, of course they're not. Okay. Firstly, they will just sell some more, create some more debt, borrow some more money, whatever, and just keep on buying, which is going to push their average price down. But that's just their average purchase price. Okay. So it's not like they're going out and leveraging this. And we had this conversation when we were getting down to the low 20,000s, and everyone's talking about this $18,000 level for MicroStrategy to liquidate. And actually then their CFO at the time, can't remember her name, she put out this statement and the figures, and it was actually down at 3,000, because that's at the level at which their loans are going to get called back, or the repayments on them. So I don't know what that figure is, but 60,000 is not going to liquidate MicroStrategy. It's not then going to cause the arse of the crypto industry to fall out. They will have a level, but I have a feeling as the lower it gets, they'll just keep on borrowing, keep on buying, and it will just keep on lowering it down. So, this sort of 2 days of downturn, everyone's starting talking about liquidation levels for MicroStrategy, which is kind of crazy. Another thing when you wake up, for a month now, look at this. For a month, we have been in extreme greed. Extreme greed for a month. I mean, sometimes we got up to 94 at one stage. And nobody seems to think that a correction is due on the cards. Well, of course it's going to be. 20% corrections happen all the time in bull markets. We may just be experiencing it. May not be done. We'll find out my views on that a little bit later on. But again, the fact that greed has stayed so high, got to kind of go, well, wait a second. What's adding up here? Am I just getting suckered in as well? I'm trading again, although I am short at the moment, or I was short a little bit earlier. Am I now just like retail, rushing in, just this is going to be the top, and here we go? And how many of you have been approached by family members or friends that don't speak about crypto, asking about how things are going? It's starting to build up. I was having a conversation last night with someone and talking to me about TikTok streams where people were enticing retailers on to buy $7,000 market cap tokens just so they can dump it on. These scams are on the rise. It's kind of telling me that, there is a bit of a fever pitch, and it may not be the end of the bull market, but all things are kind of suggesting that maybe we do need a bloody nose. As I mentioned earlier, maybe some smelling salts, just to make us realize actually that, it's not always in an upwards direction. This heat map looked even worse yesterday because there wasn't a single green on it. But another day like this today kind of just shows you that it's tough out there. But what do we always say? These are ideal times for redefining what your convictions are in certain projects. And if you've got spare ability to do it, then maybe doubling down and buying some more. And I've seen some people talking in the chat. That's exactly what they've been doing. And I can't say you will guarantee to reap the benefits of that next year. But if the bull run is going to continue, and spoiler alert, I believe it is, then anything you buy now is only going to help you later, unless you buy XRP, because that thing's going back down to 56 cents. Sorry to the XRP army there. But yeah, so days like yesterday, days like today are ideal opportunities for buying something back in. And what we've talked about, history has shown us within these bull markets, 20-30% drops happen, but they get bought back up and recovered very quickly. So you do have to act quickly. And it hurts at the time. You maybe feel a bit stupid doing it at the time. Give it a month, give it a few weeks. You look like a god again. So just enjoy that pain as it happens. Now, one thing that is troubling, or certainly was troubling for me today, was I opened up this and I was having a look at this particular block in itself. So this is the IBIT, so the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. And something isn't quite right there. Last week, they had 500,000 Bitcoin. So now I'm seeing the market absolutely blood red, and they've got less than half. They've sold effectively, or 300,000 Bitcoin is no longer in their Bitcoin BTC balance. Wow. What a bit of an eye-opener. So I was like, well, that can't be right, because I check Farside every day. This is my canary in the coal mine. BlackRock is still buying. They're the people in the first column. Look at them. I mean, yesterday they bought $400 million worth of BTC. In the last week, they've bought $2 billion worth. What's going on here? But people were jumping on it. People were saying, no, BlackRock is selling it. It's BlackRock that's caused that crash. I can't guarantee that it is. However, when you go into it, it's not going to load now that I've done it. All right, let's try and do it this way. So we'll just click on outflows. So we're looking at the bottom right-hand corner at the moment. You can see large amount of outflows 5 hours ago. And this was like 5 hours ago, it was just over 1 minute. 600, 600, 560, 600, 600. They're all going to these addresses, but they don't seem to be to the Coinbase address where they sell this. They seem, and I'm no, crypto sleuth here, so I'm not, examining the blockchain just to find out where they're going, but they're just going into another wallet and then remaining there. So I'm not sure if they have sold. I'm not sure if this is another bit of FUD and people just sort of trying to justify why the market has dropped. Of course, BlackRock don't actually advertise their wallets. We just get to see them because crypto sleuth, blockchain sleuths actually identify them. So it could just be a bit of housekeeping and then moving it along. And it certainly isn't making sense that we don't have any sales yesterday where we saw it drop, because over the weekend it was 500,000. Yesterday it's 318,000. So that should have been a massive red there. And then we're not seeing it today. And then have a look at this. This is only updated as of the weekend ago, but there's your 523,000 that they originally held. I need this to update tonight to see whether or not that still stands. And again, even on here, BlackRock still got 500,000. So some discrepancy between this one and the other one, but it's saying it's a very similar level. So I'm doing my homework. That's what every morning I'm going to wake up. Is the bull market over? Canary in the coal mine. Is BlackRock selling? If BlackRock's selling, could be a good chance that the bull market is temporarily over, or they're just getting out of something. So this caused me some concern today, but I don't believe that is where we're currently sitting. So we have a look at some charts, and this is just Bitcoin over the weekly. It's a logarithmic chart. We've got the previous cycle in there, and I mean, when you can see what I've deliberately zoomed it out, but when you can see in context of that candle, that weekly candle, it's nothing in the grand scheme of these large moves up. These candles, that is some selling. That is some selling. This little candle at the moment, I appreciate there's 5 days left of this weekly candle. So, but that, we haven't even fallen as far as we fell last week. Never mind what we've done since Trump won the election. So this kind of says to me, at least from a charting point of view, that actually it's only natural we're going to find some sort of pullback. And we've still got 5 days. Hell, we may recover this and get to 110,000. That, let's not kill ourselves. That wouldn't surprise me right now. Down at the bottom, we got the RSI. I'll just, we are seeing the weekly RSI. We have seen some rejection. We're coming down now. We are in overbought, but we're about to hit that line. How are we going to do it? The only thing that does actually concern me now, I actually look at it, there is a bearish divergence. Quite a clear one on the weekly there. We don't know when that would play out, so we've got to sort of bear that one in mind. But there is some sort of bearish divergence. I'm not going to bother going through some of the other time frames. But yeah, again, doing my little homework. Doesn't seem to be too much of a problem yet. Pi cycle. Well, if the pi cycle's to be believed, let's just get rid of those. We got plenty of time to go for the pi cycle to get rid of that as well. Because we're nowhere near those two closing. Remember, tops will be signaled when the red line crosses back over the green. And at the moment, yes, the red is starting to its steep ascent to catch up, which is kind of where this parabolic run happened in the last one. So still got a bit of time. And look, this is a big gap. That's not going to be squeezed in 4 weeks. That's going to take an incredible long time. And also, price is going to have to go up for that to happen. So, this is where we're looking at, maybe we do have some, we got to wait and see about the pi cycle, but it's something that I just have at least on my radar going through. And then getting back to the title and where we are, Q4. Q4 is generally a very good period for cryptocurrencies and certainly for Bitcoin. And even with 25%, well, Bitcoin didn't actually, to be fair. Bitcoin's come back around about 6 or 7% down to its peak or biggest trough, I suppose. But at the moment, we're coming in about 4% drop from the highs previously. But still, this quarter, we're sitting on almost 54%. And that isn't an abnormal figure. 56 this time last year. Okay, 2022, bear market, fair enough. 2021, we peaked in November. So obviously the December took a bit of a hit, but we were still in the green. 2020, this was Bitcoin's big run up. 2019, 2018, bear markets. 2017, bull market blow off top in December. You get the picture. Q4, generally a very good period. But not only that, Q1, generally a very good period as well. So we've potentially still got at least another 4 months of some decent returns to be had. And we'll talk later about how that transfers across over into altcoins as well. So all things being told, despite obviously some concerns with where the market's gone, I don't think there's right now anything to be panicking about. It is just a pullback. And yep, okay, if you were in some long positions, you've been liquidated, it's a little bit of a reminder actually that holding long positions or even short positions in crypto over a long period of time can actually come and bite you in the ass, especially if you're not taking profit, because the market is volatile. Okay, it's far volatile than any other market, and these moves can happen far swifter. So I'm not really an advocate for holding up trades for too long. I like to just be in and out within a day, maybe a day and a half if I can. But I lost my train of thought. I don't feel that we are quite at the end of our bull run just yet. What is interesting, Simon touched on this one. I won't spend too much time. I could spend an hour talking about this because it is fascinating. But we are now, I touched on it a little bit earlier, we are now getting back into celebrity endorsed cryptocurrencies that generally turn out to be utter crap. And they are done to hype in retail who have never been in crypto before and then just dump on them. And this Hayley Welsh Hawk Tour girl, she, for those of you who aren't aware, she got her 15 minutes of fame in the summer. And since then, she's got podcasts and, I don't know, endorsement deals and all that kind of stuff. And so, like every other celebrity, she decided that, yeah, she's a lifelong fan of cryptocurrency and she'll launch a meme coin. And within minutes of it launching, it got to a $500 million market cap. And it's now sitting at around about $10 million. And we'll see whether or not she's in a lot of trouble. The SEC obviously don't like this sort of thing. And I know that there is class action lawsuits at least trying to be raised about this. The tokenomics of the project were utterly appalling. And despite the team suggesting things to the contrary, it's actually been proven that nearly 96% of the tokens were owned by a cluster of wallets, and that there were over 200 pre-public launch investors, and upon launch, I think 87% of the tokens that were allocated beforehand were sold immediately within the first 10-20 minutes. So it does certainly seem like it's an inside job. Whether or not she knew anything about it, because I can't believe that she does know that much about cryptocurrency. Certainly the tokenomics of that token suggests that she didn't know anything about it. We'll have to wait and see, but this is kind of what it looked like. A massive spike up and then rugged. It's just dead. And this is what I'm getting at in terms of we're going to see a lot of this. So, for heaven's sakes, I'd like to think that every single person that's in the group is smarter than this. Don't go in just because some girl you fancy or some girl you found funny is launching a coin. Still do your due diligence of whether or not this is going to be any good, because the sob stories we've been hearing about people putting, kids' college tuition fees and all that kind of stuff in this, and it's all gone. It's happened. Whether or not this person knew it was going to happen, it will continue to happen. Absolutely no doubt within my mind. And this got to, what's this? I don't mind. This is, some of the stuff I was talking about. But this is quite interesting because, I don't know if you pronounce his name right, Matt Gaetz. He was going to be the new Attorney General for the United States. He's subsequently stepped down because I think he's got some legal issues that he potentially may need to look into. But this is how mainstream this one particular story got. That the future, well, not anymore, but the previous nominee for the Attorney General of the United States took his time to actually comment about this token and how stupid it was to get involved in it. So when we talk about the breadth that these stories can get to and how far crypto is actually getting out there into the mainstream media, it is. And that should be worrying for us because, yes, we need retail to come in, but generally they come in right at the end, okay? And I saw articles in the Daily Mail about it's not too late to invest in Bitcoin now, it's over 100K. Those kind of things scare the living daylights out of me because I kind of think we're on borrowed time. So I will continue every day to just question whether or not we're over. But at the moment, I don't think so. Right, I've tried to get through all of that as quick as I could. I'm going to answer some of these questions, and then we're going to get into what we are really here for, which is some charting. Just put water down my chin. Reese has asked, can you have a look at the possibility that CAS might be about to break out of a Wyckoff accumulation phase? Of course I can. So, his CAS... Let's try and zoom it out. So I'm not gonna, go in and explain the Wyckoff principle. We've actually done a talk on that before. But the pattern you can kind of see on the screen at the moment is a typical. This is a distribution pattern. You said an accumulation pattern. So there's two different ones there. The reason I am focusing on the distribution pattern is because to me, if you're talking about Wyckoff, this seems to be more of a topping side of things that actually the move has run. If it was an accumulation, it would be inverse of this. If I can find how to invert my chart, which I can't. Why can't I invert that? Invert scale, there we go. You'd have the move down, then you'd have people accumulating, and then you'd have a move up. But if you're going solely off Wyckoff, that doesn't necessarily look to be the case. It seems more of a distribution pattern. So with the distribution pattern, what you have is you have this large move up. You have this sort of BC or this buying climax that they talk about. Then you have a period of distribution where price goes up and down, and the people that have been holding and buying during this phase A right down at the bottom in the accumulation phase are effectively using volatility in the market to release their allocation, but they don't want to do it in one go because then the price just comes back down. So it kind of goes there, and then we get to these stages. Finally, we run out of buying pressure for this, and then we see the pattern fall away. So there's a rough look at what the pattern is, and there is an argument to be had. And I'm only answering you a question that I saw an hour ago, so I've not really looked into it, but there's some sort of strong move up there. We've had a buying climax. We've then had this volatility, and we're here at the moment. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're ready to have this drop. And for me, we could just do this, and then we could go there. This, could just be a bullish rectangle, and then off we go. But going back to your point about the Wyckoff distribution, and again, I've gone with distribution. So if you were talking about accumulation, it's not. This is just because of what I mentioned earlier. And if you're thinking that this is a bullish pattern of Wyckoff, it's not. This is just a bullish rectangle potentially. But what I'd be looking for is, for this to break down from the distribution, it is probably a break of these two levels. This level here, I mean, you could probably draw it a little bit nicer, up here and try and take in this little wick too. And then probably this level down here. And for this to really break, I'd want to see a move down here, maybe test that, maybe that, and then a move back down, something like that. That's when you'd know. Now, that would, if that's going to happen during the bull run for Casper, then it's got some serious problems. So I think there's other factors to bear in mind other than Wyckoff. In this particular instance, I'm going to give Casper the benefit of the doubt and say that we're still in a bull market, and rising tides lifts all ships. This doesn't feel like this is going to break down, but if it were, that's what I'd be looking for. Quick question, re Symes trade this afternoon on the Sui Long. If you didn't want to take the trade and just wanted to buy spot for a short-term move with any spare capital, if we didn't want, could we? Yes. So of course, absolutely. In many respects, let's just get this off because it's white. That's potentially a safer trade. Now, obviously, you're not doing it with leverage. You're just buying whatever you buy, and then if you're holding it for short term, whatever you sell, however many you happen to hold, the difference between your buy price and your sell price is what you're going to get. That's it. The positive side to that is you're not going to get liquidated. Token may go to zero, but you'll still have whatever those tokens are. So it's fine there. Now, you can only do that. So now let me rephrase this, because there is a way to do it if you want to do it. If you don't own any of the token, or you want to ride the move up, you can only obviously do that when the market is moving up. You buy, everyone's dream. We buy low, we sell high. God, if it was that simple. So yeah, you could do that. Now, if you wanted to try and take an opportunity of that in the short-term market, that's when we do things like the side steps. We take what assets we had, sell it into USDT, wait for the price to drop, buy it back in. Well, this is just the opposite. You take your spare USDT, you turn it into Sui, however many you get, hopefully the price goes up by 10%, 20%, whatever the target is you're looking for, and then you sell it that way. So it's a safer way of doing that, absolutely. You're not using leverage, so you're not getting liquidated, but at the same time, you're maybe not maximizing the gains had you done it that way. But it's just, horses for courses, if that's what you want to do. Next one there, how useful is open interest in predicting price action? I noticed that BTC open interest on Binance started falling last Thursday and continued to fall, even though BTC price recovered between Friday and Sunday. So this indicator could have been used to predict the flush down yesterday. Am I missing something here, as this seems way too simplistic? No, not at all. I don't have access to High Block anymore, because you have to pay for it, and I just wasn't using it. But so open interest. Someone did a really good video on this, and I'll do this in a minute. Let's open interest. Let me find one which is just open interest. So open interest is sort of like as I understand it, like an accumulation of all of the unsettled trades. So any trade that is open. And it can either, people refer to it as a delta, which side of it's either positive or negative. And OI, open interest, can give you an indication, because if it's in the positive, then that there's a lot of long positions still open. It's heavily open. People are favoring longs, whilst obviously if it's in the negative position and building, people are favoring shorts, and they'd rather take shorts than that. And those shorts are still open. And so it's hard to, as I understand it anyway, it is hard to judge what there is for a tipping point for that, but it's certainly another little canary in the coal mine. Well, wait a second. Not only is the market uber excited, greed's still quite high, OI, open interest, is the delta's in the green, longs are favored, and it's building, and it's been this way for some time. It may give you reason to be concerned that actually we get a correction sometime. And again, market makers have a look at that. Now, there's one person that does this very well. Her name is Annie, and she's on trade. Her YouTube is Trade Travel Chill. And she did a video on this like a couple of days ago. Why do I know that? Because I actually watched this today before I saw that. I put it on the wrong screen. Before I saw that question. So it's this one here. I think it was Kevin asked that question. Watch this video. She also talks about funding rates as well. But she talks about open interest, what it is, and how she utilizes it. She's very good. She's one of the people that I follow in terms of market maker theory and all that kind of stuff. Her alongside Traders Reality. And I think she does a very simplistic video of how to explain both of those funding rates and OpenAI. So definitely watch that video. I'll post a link for it after. Matter of fact, can I post a link in the chat now? Copy. Let's see if we can do this. There we go. There's a link in the chat now. But it's definitely worth watching if you are interested. And yes, it is something that you can utilize, but it's not something you can use on its own. So it's just one of those things that you can have as an extra indicator, or as I say, an extra canary in the coal mine to just give you that edge of, right, everything else is adding up that I think that we're just a bit too overextended in the longs positions at the moment. I'm going to sort of reduce my positions, take some profit, or even look at shorting the market. And I think that's all the questions. Perfect. Okay. Well, we've done that one. I don't know why that's in twice. Right, let's have a look at some price action. Sorry, let me just catch up on some questions here. Kevin's put, what security precautions do you take when trading storing meme coins? Using a dedicated meme coin computer, separate wallets for each. I just buy them using I connect my Phantom wallet to Jupiter or Radium if I'm buying on a Solana network. And then I just send them to Tangent, because I basically buy Solana based meme coins. I just send them to my Tangent wallet. And it's a hardware wallet. It's as safe as it can be for me. All the usual kind of protocols you need to do. If you are buying, say, on Uniswap or Jupiter, and you have connected wallets, whether that be MetaMask or Phantom wallets, just make sure you go through the process of unlock and logging out afterwards, disconnecting the feed to those websites, and just trying to minimize your exposure to, if you've been keystroked or anything like that. So yeah. Mr. Tacos, oh there, Mr. Tacos, how we doing? Open interest is available as a free indicator on TradingView. So if that's the case, what you do is you just go to indicators, open interest, and hers is, it's down here. I've seen it. Trade travel chart, open interest auto override. So if you select that one, what's this going to do? Because I'm on the wrong chart. And this kind of gives you an idea. What this will do though is this chart is solely linked to Binance. That's why it's called auto override. So even if you're trading on something else, this is taking just the data from Binance. It's the most popular website to use. But you can kind of see, obviously, the green bars it's in the positive, red bars are not, and then you can just change it on the time frames as you see fit. And I've gone hit daily. That's what's happening. So there you go. Thank you for pointing that one out. Now I need to get rid of that. Put that back on the 12-hour. Tim's posted Annie's open interest cheat sheet in the Avengers chat Discord. Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, I think she's very good. Trade Travel Chill. You should definitely follow her. She does some good videos on all that kind of stuff if you're a fan of market maker theory. What was that? Oh yeah. Okay, so just having a look at the standard chart that I do every month, and we updated last month. I mean, again, it's on the 12-hour, so this battle that we're having constantly with this 2-year-long trend line, it's continuing. I have updated liquidation levels based off the heat maps, as you can see, and unsurprisingly, the move up last Thursday to 104,000 wiped this out, but this really should be like this. That's where people are going short. They're still placing their shorts there, so this is actually building again, but the price has moved back down. We've lost that. And in this move down again on Thursday, but also now, we had some liquidation levels. Matter of fact, let's just put it on here. I don't know why am I wasting time here? Heat map. Let's just get it. If we put it on, let's put it on the monthly, we'll be able to see once it loads up. So you can see that move down we had on Thursday wiped out everything that was building in and around 90,000 to 94,000. And it's not really built back up again. So we got 90,000 below, nothing really leading there, which is kind of what we're showing here. It has these two connected, but I think there's a little bit of a gap when you zoom in. However, what can we see? Well, okay, we've lost the trend line, which it's been a an interesting battle over the last month, that trend line. But where have we hit last couple of times? This 1618 extension, 94,000, even today. Nice bottom for us on the 94,000. That seems to be the level that we need to really hold if we're going to build from this. I'll move on to a different chart because there's a lot of noise on that one there. And before we go into sort of lower time frames, we haven't put this chart for some time. But just talking about, that Q4 into Q1 next year being generally a good run. So this is the 4-year cycle thing that I've kind of put together and just kind of, I don't know, named each of the periods. And I've just done this year end to year end. So, there's a little bit of wiggle room how we break down the 4-year cycle. But generally, we start with the bear market, then we have a consolidation phase, climb out phase, and then we have the parabolic run. Bear in mind, this is on the logarithmic. I'll show you how big these parabolic runs are in a moment, because year 3 parabolic run here looks tiny compared to this bull market over there. But I assure you that is not the case. But the point I'm trying to make here is this has clearly been a climb out phase for BTC. And this is generally where, year 2s, it's BTC into altcoins. And we've certainly seen, had you have stayed in BTC, great year. Last couple of weeks, potentially moving into altcoins, would have seen it. And it's next year that we're really going to feel the altcoin market move. And I'd have no reason to believe that the 4-year cycle is broken yet. So I'm going to stick with it. But we are getting pretty close at the moment to that parabolic phase, whether it's a single run up like in 2017, or we got a double top attempt like we had in 2021. We'll wait and see. But either way, there's definitely moves to be had. And just to kind of show you, I'll take it onto the linear chart now. And I mean, look at these. Some of these are just flat. So that is a 2017 run. This is a parabolic run in 2021. And who knows what this one's going to be like. That yellow box there is just plus or minus 30 days from the 1st of December, if it is going to time with previous ones. So yeah, when you look at things like this, still plenty of reason to at least be delightfully optimistic about what 2025 can do for us. And, going back to some of those news articles we talked about earlier on today, I think there is certainly some positive momentum to have. I'm not guaranteeing that we just see it how we saw in 2017. Absolutely not. Could be that. Could be 3 dips. I have no idea. But next year, we should be presented with plenty of opportunities to just look at our portfolio and smile, and then regret that we never took any profit. I swear I will not round trip this time. Okay, so I'll look at some other time frames. So here we go. What are we on? We're on the daily chart at the moment. And, what I would say, so we've had that November large move up here. But it's nice to see that we are ranging. And I talked about this last week, that, that move that we had in March up to 74,000 or 73,000, and then 9 months of consolidating. And God, I hope we don't have that again. But, that at least reset everything. We had plenty of times where everyone thought the bull market was over, and actually we were just ranging from 70,000 to 50,000. If we end up ranging between 110 and 90,000, yes, a 20 grand difference. It's going to feel painful, each of those moves. But generally, in the grand scheme of it, that's a fairly comfortable place to be. That's going to build some strength that we can then look to move in. And so far, we're starting to potentially see that. Now, I'm going to go into lower time frames, don't get me wrong. But, I'm not going to, what am I trying to spit out here? The only thing I am, sort of wondering is, have we seen 3 moves up and we're just in some sort of little top and back before some move down? I don't think the daily really paints that good a picture for that. I mean, there's an argument to be said that there's a W there, I suppose, and then maybe 1, 2, we're in 3, and this is some sort of M. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, on the daily, despite all of the concerns we've had, we're still holding the 20-year maker. We lost the 10 EMA there. We're still holding the 20, and the 50 is down here at 88,000 sort of. And at 88,000, I mean, you know, there's a decent bit of price action there as well. You know, from where we sort of saw that initial move up and then some consolidation. So even if we fall to 88,000, alts are going to hurt. Of course they are. But that's not necessarily the end of the world for Bitcoin ending up down here, and we just sort of build our range through there. Absolutely fine. Now, obviously, there are some vectors down here. I mentioned earlier that, you know, vector candles 9 times out of 10 do get recovered, but a lot of them do get left behind, particularly on the higher time frame. And, you know, I'm not going to say that this can't be recovered. Of course it can. Hell, 72,000. This vector candle down here could be recovered. We're talking about a different thing there. You know, we're talking about another 30% collapse on where we are, potentially, you know, like similar to the Easter rise in 2021. Going to take some time to recover from that before the next move up. But let's not be doing too much of a downer on that. Moving down onto the lower time frames, you know, the 12-hour. I mean, look at it. 12-hour, bang, 50, bounce clean off it. Bang, 50, bounce clean off it. Today, bang, 50, bounce clean off it. Now, a couple of days ago, that's pretty good. This one here, I've lost my little brush. Perfect, because it bounced off it and then we started to recover, but we never got above the 10, you know, on that first one. Then we did, but, you know, volumes running out. If volume was increasing, these would be different colors. They're not. They're ordinary candles. And then we've lost the 10, we've lost the 20, now we've lost the 10 and the 20, and we're getting squeezed at the moment here. So we're getting squeezed. Hopefully that squeeze does that, of course, but, you know, it might not. We've got to be prepared for that, and that's, you know, it's part of being realistic about trading. It's not always in that one direction. I mean, if we throw a fib on now, so what have we got? You know, 2 levels that you want to look at. Obviously, this one here is pretty close, 93.2. I'm sure when I get on the 4 hour, I can probably tidy that one up a little bit. But the 382, smack bang in that level here, right down the bottom. Again, on the daily, right at the 50. Yeah, that could easily be a nice clean level for that to come back down to. Dropping it on the 4. Let's just tidy this up. And then I'll remove it because it's just a lot. I think that's pretty much a similar level there. So let's give it to the fibs. I've already talked about those ones. But again, what's happening? But on the 4 hour, I'm just trying to see if I can see some sort of trend. I mean, there's a little bit of a trend line. I don't like it, if I'm honest, because I'm either doing bodies at the left hand side and wicks at the end, or I'm doing this. We're kind of just battling it. We're on some sort of support line here at the moment. And for me though, again, even on the 4 hours, so daily we're below, 12 hour we're below, 4 hour we're below. You know, we need to get above 98,000, you know, and start building on this. Now, all 3 of these are quite close to each other, so it's going to be a lot to get through them. Once we do, they're going to be a nice bit of support when we get there. I wouldn't rule out a move back down, you know, to catch the 200 either at 92,000. It takes in that wick, which takes in this move down here, and away we go. But just let's do a clean chart for a second. Let's just bear with me. Duplicate. I mean, we saw the bearish divergence report, but you know, at the moment, ignoring the wicks, we are still, you know, depends how this one ends, obviously, but we are still in that uptrend. So, you know, as long as we don't get below 92,000, the uptrend is still technically on, and we just need to get above, you know, close above 91.5, let's say. It's like 101.5. And then we can still continue that there. Lower time frames for any of you that are considering trading, you know, going down on the hourly or something like that. I mean, what I would say, we've got CPI information tomorrow. So that's why I want to kind of close my trades, because that can go any way. And I think that, you know, when we're talking about trading on the hourly, that's certainly going to have an impact on that. But I'm, wherever we draw, it's probably on the 15-minute. You can see some sort of like W here. 1, 2. I don't know. I'm just thinking this is some sort of M. I was trying to see if I can count 3, but I obviously can't. So let's just. I'm wondering if this is some sort of topping pattern, and we see that sharp move down, come back, sort of a consolidation, another move. But to be fair, I mean, the body closes are below it, I suppose. This move down, maybe we see another consolidation and one final move down. I know to that 92 level we're talking about, catching up with this 800 EMA, and then we can see some sort of W pattern go going through. But because of what's going to happen with CPI information tomorrow, which is, in that block, now this is just messy as anything. Let me tidy that up. CPI data is coming out pretty much in here. So, but can you see we've already in all these vectors, and we'll have a look on Tau because Tau's fallen hard. There's plenty of vectors behind it. There's plenty of vectors for this to cover. So for me, the volatility tomorrow is there, especially with CPI data dropping, for them to just whipsaw up, take these vectors out, come back, reclaim this one, any more that they find. Before you know it, you've tried to go long and short and you've been wrecked in both directions. Always better, in my opinion, just to wait to see what the news is and how the market reacts after that. Is it like the insiders in Tau will have sell early before Dynamic Tau is launched? I'll come to that in a second. Okay, let's talk about Tau now, shall we? So first and foremost, Dynamic Tau, I'm still trying to get my head around it. I hesitated for a second because whilst I understand exactly what, I don't understand exactly what Dynamic Tau is going to do, but what I understand within, freeing up each of the individual subnets to have their own, currency, if we will, for sort of trading and not being reliant on the price action of Tau, I completely get that. In terms of whether or not there's any particular, interest for me, I'm gonna have to wait and see. We're going to be talking about liquidity pools and all of that kind of stuff, and a lot of the kettle of fish that we all ended up getting burnt on in 2022. And I'm just not sure that I'm really that way driven. Now, I am in this to make money, so if the volume and the movement is within Dynamic Tau, then maybe that's something that I have to consider. Or if I just don't like it, but Tau's not doing anything, I just have to abandon that position in its entirety. We'll have to wait and see. But I've not seen a roadmap. I've seen a couple of tweets talking about potentially what it is, but I've not really looked into it any more than that. But looking at Tau in itself, I mean, it's just, we're on the hour. Let's go on the daily first. So let me get rid of these. It's had a tough one. We had that beautiful double bottom and move back up, but it is, it's fallen down hard. It's come back to the 50 EMA on the daily. It actually broke through it, and we've seen it get all the way down here. But these last 2 days are being quite tough. We've got 3 hours to go, but the way things are going, this is going to leave another vector candle for it to recover. So again, I completely see an ability for the price to come back and retake those. Of course I do. And the sharper the move down, generally, the sharper the recovery. So yeah, I can see that. And again, coming down with this level here, makes sense. So how it reacts now, this is still a sell day. We're down 6% almost on the day. So the question is that enough, or are we going to see some further falling? And if we do, where's that going to potentially take us? And I did this, which was, I can't remember where I drew it from. Was it here? I think it might have been. So this goes back to the bottom that we experienced on daily closes, not the bottom 160, back in July. And not exact, I appreciate that, but there's definitely some levels of interaction, whether it's connecting with fib levels or sort of the 200 EMA here, and then as we've gone up, come back down, and we're sort of hitting it. But we've hit that now here, and so we really want to see that bounce, but there's always this magnetism towards that 200 EMA on the daily, which also ties in with the 382. And if Bitcoin's going to have another move down, or if it has another move down, this is the area I'd be targeting. This is where I'm thinking we might see something. Now, if it wicks down there and bounces back up, great. And as long as we close above 482, we're still in a bit of an uptrend, fine. But if we start to spend a few days battling around here, then, we're sort of like, I don't know, in some rising channel that we don't really want to be in. And we're going to really be relying on this 200 EMA to hold up for some support there. So I did go short. I mentioned yesterday that I was going to, depending on how the daily candle closed, I was considering shorting. The reason is that I didn't want to take a sidestep in case the market moved against me, whereas I can just hedge it with a short position. I was short about 610, I think, and I probably should have closed it. I've kind of got it open on the other screen that if something starts moving rapidly, I'll just knock over and change it. But at least I'm an opportunity to make a bit of money, and then whatever profit I make, I'm just going to turn to buying into Tau and go from there. But on the daily, again, a bit like Bitcoin, we're still, as long as we maintain this, as long as we don't lose that, we're still in this upward pattern. So it's fine. We expect these pullbacks. Long may they continue, just to give us that little bit of a resettlement. So yeah, absolutely fine with that. Let's get rid of this fib. It's not serving as a purpose for this next bit. Let's drop down 4 hour. And again, we are below. Look, not only are we below the 50, we're below the 20 and the 10. They're spreading out. Whereas on BTC, they were nice and compact when we're getting on lower time frames. These things aren't. And we've fallen below the 200. And so my concern is that actually right now, yeah, we've had a bounce. We've come back up here. But with the 210 meet, we just get rejected and we come back down. And that 800's not that far away at the moment. 482 level, that's where the 800 sits. And then we're talking about vector signs. But, don't be disheartened if you're still in your Tau positions. If you believe the bull run's coming, these vector candles will be recovered, okay? Market makers won't leave them like that. But, we're below the 50 EMA at the moment, and we're moving further away from it. So it's not the best position. My dad's ringing me for some reason. I'll just hang up on him. It's not the best position right now, but maybe because I was burnt on the last 2 side steps, I just didn't want to take it. I just feel that there's an opportunity for us to short it instead, and then benefit from staking rewards for leaving it in there and going from there. On the hourly, I think it's pretty much a similar picture. Just we're even below the 800. So we're battling the 10, but we've effectively got the 10, the 20, the 800, the 50, and the 200 to get above before we do that. So that doesn't feel like something that we're going to do in one move. So we might, spend the next couple of days just fighting this way up. But unfortunately, it has fallen hard, which is a bit of a shame, because legacy altcoins rallied. Then Tau had 12 hours in the sun and rallied. And then when the market turned, legacy altcoins died, but Tau really died, which is a bit of a shame to see. It's coming through. But yeah, as to sort of any fundamental reason as to why, I'm not necessarily sure on that one. Look, we're just sticking on the hourly at the moment, but near potentially maybe putting in a bit of a double bottom here, but it ain't convincing me until it gets above 6. Let's just call it 690, clears that neckline, clears the 50 EMA, then we can talk about a double bottom there. Otherwise, we're just dead cat bouncing, aren't we? And we're just getting beaten down by the 20 EMA each time. So, got a bit of work to do there. DOT's having its recovery. So, don't think that it's just Tau. A lot of these are looking very similar. Ethereum poked its head above 4,000. The Ethereum maxis went wild. And it was above 4,000 for what? 3 hours? Never saw it again. And this one's had some serious selling. I didn't even check. Let's have a look at anyone selling on the ETFs. No, actually, there's still a bit of buying. Not massive amounts, but, not the worst. Memes asked me to have a look at Tau BTC. I will. Don't like looking at Tau BTC chart because I sold some Tau. Let me just put it on the day, on the 4 hour. We see. I sold some Tau, or some BTC into Tau at like here. And now look where we are. So if I'd held on to that BTC, we're in a much better position. But it seems we're having a look at it again, like, oops. Strong move up. It's a 4 hour. Move down, pull back but rejected twice, a little double top. Found a bottom potentially. Falling again, maybe that 0.005 is what we need to see to give us some sort of base double bottom movement, and we can build off it. But the one thing is, Bitcoin's dominance is on the resurgence. Now, the only good thing about that is look what Bitcoin dominance is running into. I'm going to take this onto the higher time frames in a moment, but even on the 4 hour, it's had a swift turnaround because we've had 800 and the 200 crossing. And so, yeah, it's been rejected. It's been rejected quite hard from that one. But if we take that one to the daily, we 50 EMA all the way up. Then we lost it. This little alt season rally we had for a week. But yeah, soon recovered. But that being said, even on the daily, 220 is where the battleground is at the moment, and we rejected off the 50. So, we just got to keep an eye on this. If this starts climbing up and up and up, then yeah, Bitcoin sees a recovery. Altcoins not so much, unfortunately. So that will have an impact on your Tau BTC chart. Casper, we kind of looked at. And Solana, I mean, obviously I'm doing a bit of a, of course, a charting view on that one. What was I? This on the 4 hour. I need to extend it out, don't I? Let's get rid of this if I can. Problem is, with so many vector candles, it looks quite messy. But 236 held it as long as we could with a little battle with the 382. We've lost it. Everything's pointing down. Again, lost the 200, the 10, the 20, the 50, and we've lost the 382 level, and now we're bouncing off the 0.5. So maybe we get a little bit of a recovery to 216, but that sort of 200 level really needs to hold. There is some price action over here, which would indicate there's a reasonable chance that it holds that. But it's just not looking great across the board. Now, strong moves down. I've said this already. Can be recovered strongly. But right now, I'm happy to buy some spots because they were cheaper than where they were. But at the moment, I'm not particularly interested in entertaining any longs just yet. I want to see an actual shift in market sentiment for that to happen. And XRP, I mean, actually XRP today, what's going on here? It's made a strong recovery. One of the only legacy coins that really has done much. So well played to it. It came down to that 190 level, this little shelf here. The army stepped back in, and now, battling all of the EMA sort of congested in around there. But a good move over the last 8 hours or so, or 6 hours from there. I'm not going to go through the memes, but interesting that Giga is up 25% today. SPX is up over 10, and Tau New is over 10, even though Tau itself is dying. It's probably down to the fact that someone's just bought a little bit, and it just isn't much liquidity volume. And it just moved that one up, but it's still a good move nonetheless. Anything else to really look at in here? I don't think so. Tell you what, it's 9 o'clock. It's been an hour. I think we can probably call it there. Someone asked me what was my portfolio looking like. So that's it. This is it. Personal side, Tau just about 50%, near 31%. Render 5. Memes have dropped. Memes have taken a beating, to be honest. 7.6%, and the USDT is just what I'm trading with. So that's where it currently sits. Bitcoin, that's where it is. I bought Bitcoin at 94,000, so I'm still buying it every month. Doesn't matter. It's my micro strategy play, and yeah, it's still going on. So that's how the portfolio looks. I think there's nothing else that's really been asked, and I'm conscious, it's 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. I appreciate your time, even this far. We have the trading pub as usual on Thursday. I'm hoping we're going to get a good announcement from CPI tomorrow, which suggests that we are on course to reduce interest rates come later on this month, which again is just going to give that confidence to the market, and we can kickstart going again. Traditional markets move up, and that's just going to help BTC and the rest of cryptocurrency. So big day tomorrow, 1:30, I think it's announced UK time. I'll tell you what, let's just have a look, shall we? Don't worry, I will put it back on the screen. Yeah, yeah, 130. So CPI year to year, they're forecasting actually a slight rise. Was previously at 2.6, looking at 2.7, but I don't think they're the end. You know, we're getting close to that 2%. Of course, there's going to be slight fluctuations here and there. It is what it is from that one, but you know, good announcement there, and then into the PPI. And if for those of you that are interested, it's next week, next Wednesday, FOMC, where we'll get to have a bit of a indication of where we're going in terms of whether or not we're still on track with that. Yeah, so Thursday, usual time, 1 o'clock for the trading pub. Between now and then, if any of you have any questions, you're stuck with something, or you just need someone's shoulders to cry on, feel free to tag me, DM me, whatever it may be. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a good evening. Fingers crossed for that recovery, and I'll speak to you all soon. Cheers now.